Hey guys, do you struggle feeling like you're not the best husband? Well, this episode is especially for you because I've got a lot that I want to say about that because there are a lot of things that we could be doing better, but I don't want you to beat yourself up either, obviously. But I'm looking forward to this one because we're going to put the men on the hot seat a little bit here.
But you're going to give them some good stuff too, right?
That's
Some good
right.
tips.
Oh, yes,
Yeah,
definitely.
I'm
Yep.
Heather.
Yep, and I'm Brian, and we are from Love How Deep. We're so grateful that you're here with us. And without any further ado, let's just dive in. So, yeah, I mean, being a husband, it's not an easy job, and especially being one that's a Christ follower. I mean, we are called to be the spiritual head of our household, and so we are called to be the leader of our family, and that is not easy sometimes because.
Right.
I mean, that is a lot of pressure. That's a lot of responsibility. And so, what do we do? I mean, I hate to say this, but I think we men sometimes probably maybe don't take on as much as we should. We tend to just generally kind of care about ourselves and, I want to watch the football game or I want to go out and mow the grass or,
Cooking is the woman's work.
right.
I
And
don't
it's like
know.
the kids, you kind of feel like, well, shouldn't the wife take care of the kids for the most part?
And do the laundry.
Right. And so I think for us men, it is really about um, looking outside of ourselves, letting go of some of that selfishness sometimes. Again, I talk to a lot of men and we want to kind of go in our little isolated cave and, we want to work on our little tasks and we want to work on the car and build our whatever thing out of wood, and kind of be away from the family, and that's obviously not what we want to do. I mean, I'm not asking you to do this completely, to give up what you love, but again, kind of coming back into the family, being that leader. And I definitely have some things that I want to talk about today, as far as some very helpful tips, so to speak, when it comes to that. The first one is loving unconditionally. In Ephesians 5:25, it talks about how husbands are supposed to love their wives as Christ loves the church. And that's an
good.
unconditional love. I mean,
Right.
and we've talked about this before, but there's four types of love in the Bible. I believe it's from the Hebrew, and agape is really the one that we're talking about here. It's that unconditional love.
Right.
And it's love as a verb. So maybe there's times where you don't feel like loving, or again, you're kind of off in your own world. But this is really saying, no, that's again not what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to love unconditionally. So maybe that's, it could be getting back to the flowers, or it could be, you know what, honey, let me cook dinner tonight. I know you cook it every night. So I'm actually showing love in my actions and what I'm doing.
That's good.
And it also has to be words too, to make sure that I'm telling you that I love you and that, you encourage me and I appreciate you and,
Right.
and all those types of things. But
I
obviously,
always
the actions.
appreciate when, I'm starting to cook dinner in the kitchen and you'll come in and you'll pick up a knife and you're like, what can I do? What can I chop? What can I, how can I help you? And I'm like, oh, you've worked all day. I had the day off today. I'm okay to do this. And you're like, I don't care. I'm going to help you do it anyway, which I love that because then we're spending time together and you're helping me. You're showing me love by what you're doing. And we don't have that mindset of like, this is women's work, this is men's work. It's like we just do it together and we enjoy being together and sharing that time with each
Yeah.
other. So I always appreciate that about you.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think too, loving unconditionally means that church becomes a priority, becomes important. I once read a statistic that said, and I don't know the numbers completely, but it said if a mother doesn't go to church, the kids will probably not go to church. But if a husband doesn't go, no, I think I messed this up. I think it was something along the lines of if the wife goes to church, most likely the kids are going to go to church. If a husband doesn't go to church, the kids will tend not to go to church. Basically meaning that it's very important for the husbands to go to church. I don't know if I said that correctly.
I'm trying to follow that.
I think I didn't say that correctly, but the point is,
I'm gonna find
they say
it.
it's more important
Find
for the husbands to make sure that they're going to church than the wives to go to church, because we often think, oh, you know what? I don't need to go to church. I'll just let my wife take the kids and it'll be fine. But there's something about a man going to church that really shows as a good role model for the kids, that when they see their father going to church, it really is meaningful. And I think back to when I was a child. I was sort of sent to church, if you will, but my father, when I was growing up, he didn't believe, he didn't care, he didn't want to go to church. And it wasn't until later in life that he did. But I think that probably did have some impact on me at some point in my teenage years where I just kind of stepped away from it, didn't want to go. And so it took me a little bit of time as an adult to kind of get back to the place where I wanted to go and be a productive part of, the church, and to model that for my family. So I really think that's all about loving unconditionally. Did you catch anything as you were researching, or no?
I'm looking
Probably
for
did.
that. I'm looking for that kind of statistic thing that you were.
That's okay. I messed it up. Again, the point is, as men, be the leader of your house. What do
I
we
think
got
it's this
here?
right here, the father factor.
The father factor.
Research indicates that if a father attends church regularly, regardless of the mother's attendance, between 2/3 and 3/4 of their children will remain regular church members.
There it is. Yeah.
There it is.
And so I think it's
to
more
church.
about, it seems to hinge more on the husband going to church
Yeah, that's
as a
interesting.
powerful thing for the kids as they grow older.
And I think that speaks to the husband being the spiritual leader of the household.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not going, you're leading your children into that
Yeah.
path of they don't have
Right.
to go.
Right.
But if you are going, you are leading your children and
Mm-hmm.
your family of this is what we do. We believe in God. We are going to go to church. We're going to be involved. We're going to pray. We're going to do these things.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's interesting that how that relates to
Yeah.
really to being spiritual.
Pretty interesting
spiritual head.
statistic, but it makes sense. I think that's the way God designed it. That's how He
Yeah,
wants it to
yeah,
be,
that's good.
of course. So, second thing is leading with humility. Ephesians 5:21-24 is really the passage I want you to take a look at, and that's the one where it talks all about submitting to one another. And we often think, we think about women submitting to men. But no, it actually talks about that we should submit one to each other,
Yes.
basically. So, what might that look like? Again, that probably looks like me putting down some of my selfishness. If you're a guy that loves to play video games, for 3 or 4 hours at a time, okay, maybe you can still play, but all right, let's cut that way down. That's a way that you could submit. It doesn't have to be anything grand. It can just be in those little moments of life, where we're putting aside again some of those selfish, self-centered little tasks, little hobbies, things that we do that maybe aren't necessarily completely important to our family. So yeah, I don't know if you have anything to add on that, but
I think that doing things like that, just those simple little acts of humility by putting your wives' needs first, like that, when that happens with us, that just really speaks to me. Like it makes me feel like you do value me, you do care, you do see me, whatever it is that I'm going through, whatever's happening, going on. So yeah, that's a good challenge for husbands to practice that humility and put your spouse's needs above your own and see what happens.
yeah, that's right. Yeah. And the third one that I want to talk about is communicating with wisdom. And this probably goes along with the humility, but a couple of passages I want you to check out here would be Proverbs 15:1, and that's the verse that talks about how a gentle answer turns away wrath. And I'll be honest, I've failed at this sometimes in my life with you, Heather, where we're maybe discussing something and you say something that, punches a button or just hits a little bit of a raw spot in me. And then right there in that moment, I have a choice to make. I can blow up in anger, or I can be, again, gentle and kind and loving. I hate to admit it, but occasionally I've chosen that anger, that blow up, that response and in my mind when I'm doing it, you're so wound up in your mind, I'm thinking, you know what, if I blow up on her and I say this to her, she's going to get it, she's going to understand, and she's going to say, oh my gosh, I get it. I
She's
understand.
gonna fire back.
Right. I know where you're coming from. No, of course not. That's not
Yeah.
what happened.
We cease to communicate when that happens.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I mean, at my age in life, you would think I would have gotten this by now, but I still struggle with it. But I know that if I can catch myself, I can take some deep breaths, and I can, maybe even kind of catch a word with the Lord or whatever while we're talking. A lot of times it's like, okay, this isn't that big of a deal. Don't worry about it. Not a problem.
Yeah.
And then I can give you that more of that gentle, loving response, So yeah, they often say too. I'm probably going off on a little bit of a tangent, but I think it was John Gottman, famous couples researcher. I talk about him all the time. I think Heather thinks I'm in love with him, I guess. But he said that
John Gottman has a lot of good stuff to
Yeah.
say, so he's a wise man.
right. But he did say once. He said if you're hysterical, it probably means it's historical, meaning that there's probably some things that are built up there. If you're getting that wound up and that bent out of shape, it could be maybe something that's been going on between the two of you. It could be something that was from childhood or maybe other relationships. And so the best way that you can get around that is to constantly be talking about those things, be open, hopefully before the disagreement or the blow up happens. Hopefully it's more about, let's just have a conversation about, hey, this thing happened when I was a child and it seems to be a trigger for me.
Right.
Can you help me with this? So,
Right.
yeah. Another verse that I want you to take a look at, it's in Ephesians 4, chapter 4, verse 29. It just talks about how to not let unwholesome talk come out of our mouths as men. And, that could be as simple as, just cursing. It could be, words that you say that just fly out of your mouth when you're angry, when you're upset. And, you may feel like, wow, that's helping me vent and that's helping me relieve stress. But I've often told people that when you do that, where is that stress and where is that venting landing? Well, it's landing on the person that you love. It's landing on you when I'm doing those types of things.
Yeah.
So need to be better about that, obviously,
Yeah.
of course. So, and when I say venting, I don't mean, venting as in like I'm upset with work. You got to be able to talk about those things. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying when you're just like kind of spewing
In the
hatred
moment. Yeah.
on
Spewing
your
venom.
spouse.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's landing somewhere, and it's unfortunately it's a big pile of landing on you. So, and we need not to happen.
Yeah.
All right, let's talk about providing and protecting. 1 Timothy 5:8. This is the one where it talks about how anyone who does not provide for their family is worse than an unbeliever. And so
wow.
it's really all about taking responsibility. And I will say, several years ago, you remember when I stepped away from good paying job and and so went back to school, had stopped working, and so I think probably 2/3 of our family income kind of
It was
disappeared
gone.
overnight.
Yeah. It was
I mean,
gone.
we made a decision to do that, but at
We
the
did.
same time, I know for a long time, I didn't know that I really wasn't going to be making much money for the period that I was. It went on for about 3 years.
It did.
Where I was really not making any money. And, being a counselor, there's all kinds of internships and residency and can't take insurance, so can't make a lot of money. And so, but I do remember at some points feeling like, I felt like exactly what this verse said. It said, anyone who does not provide is worse than an unbeliever. Whereas you helped me feel better about that because it was like, we've done this as a choice. It's not like you're just sitting on the couch doing nothing.
You're not watching football all day.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Like I was working
Yeah.
my butt off doing my schoolwork
Yeah.
and trying to get it done as quick as I could and to move forward as fast as I could to get back out there. But I remember there were times where I was beating myself up.
You were. Like,
Yeah.
he really was. And he even contemplated multiple times of maybe I'll just go get a part-time job doing something. And I'm like, nope. You left your corporate world job to go back to school to be a counselor because this is what we prayed about. This is where the Lord is leading us. We know he's going to take care of us. So nope, you're not doing that. And the Bible says, be still and know that I am God. And I did. I had to have these little heart to hearts with him and like, shake him up a little bit and
Yeah.
just to kind of like realign, I think, because you did struggle with not being the breadwinner and
Yeah.
that sort of thing. And like we were fine. Like we were absolutely fine. God did take care of us. He stretched our finances, this money that we'd set aside to do this, like He really did. And but yeah, you struggled with that.
Yeah.
Just being the provider. Yeah.
Yeah, and this message maybe not for you that's in that type of a position. If you have some kind of calamity that comes upon you, like I know unfortunately in today's society, AI has taken over a lot, and a lot of people are losing jobs because of it. And we actually have a friend, he's down in Florida right now, and he just reached out for some help to us and some others. And he had lost his job as an IT, I think, I don't know, he was an IT consultant or something like that, but lost his job basically to AI. And so, that's a situation where, I don't look at him and say he's not providing for his family. It's a rough situation. But I'm reminded too of a sermon that our pastor preached several years ago. It was on the concept of burdens versus loads. And he's like, a burden means that's something that comes upon you, like you develop cancer or whatever, you break your leg, and you need some help in the moment. That's a burden. A load is more like where you've been jobless for 3 years and you just kind of sit around and you maybe apply to something every 6 months, or and maybe you've asked somebody for rent money every month for the last 3 years. That's where you're starting to get to this place of like, this is probably where this is probably for you. Really providing and protecting is probably not happening like it should. So yeah, that's extremely important. Finally, seeking unity and resolution. Again, all these kind of dovetail with each other, but the verse I want you to focus on in this one of them at least, is Ephesians 4, verses 2 and 3. This is where it talks about being humble and gentle and patient. And then I love this because it says we need to bear with each other in love. And so sometimes bearing doesn't mean it's the easiest, right?
That's true.
I mean, it's almost like you got to kind of grit your teeth sometimes.
Grin and bear it.
That's right. Exactly. So it's not easy, but we got to do it. And then the second verse, coincidentally, has also the same word in it about bearing. But if you go to Colossians chapter 3, verses 13 to 14, this one talks about bearing with one another in love, and then forgiving as the Lord has forgiven us. And so, again, sometimes forgiving is not easy, but we've got to do that as men, especially, because sometimes, our wives have a lot going on, and sometimes they can come at us with needing help, and maybe sometimes we feel like they don't do it in the right way or whatever, and then we can hold a grudge. And, I know, sometimes Heather will ask me to do something or tell me something, and all of a sudden I get this like picture of like, I'm a 5-year-old and this is my mother, telling me what to wear and zip this up a little bit more or whatever. And so I can get to this place where, wow, if you're just going to act like my mother, then we'll forget you and I'm just going to go do my own thing. And once again, we kind of circle back into this place of selfishness and isolation and not caring about the family. So we've got to be careful about that. So I would say with that one, I would just encourage the men, when you catch yourself with that feeling of like, she's just acting like my mother. I mean, remember, like, why is she doing it? She's doing it because she loves you, and I know that when you do those things, I really need to be careful. It's that little fork in the road that I have in my brain. Either I can go this way and think you're my mom, or I can go this way and think that you love me and you care about me. And moms, I feel like I'm beating up on moms. Moms love and care too, of course. So, and if I can go down this other path and realize that you love and care about me, then I can take it a lot easier. And then I don't even have to worry about the forgiveness because I'm not upset. I'm not mad. So, yeah. So really, those are the things that I wanted you to focus on to being a better husband. Because again, your job, just like the wives, it's not easy. You got a lot going on too, of course. But yeah, I think that's really all I wanted to say for this one. So yeah, I think, is that it? Yeah. So, all right, we're going to let you go. So thank you so much for joining us. Didn't know where to go with that one. Thank you so much for joining us. This is lovehowdeep.com. Check us out. Go to our website. Got all kinds of great resources, blogs. We got freebies that you can pick up. Join our newsletter. Heather over here is doing an awesome job with our newsletter.
Oh, thanks.
She's putting that together once a month. It's chock with all kinds of things that we got going on. So make sure you sign up for that. And until next time, take care.